It's not all fun and jokes and japes on this show.
It isn't?
Sometimes we get serious.
Do we?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we do. This week we do.
Yeah, this is a serious one.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah.
God, you acted like I was trying to throw you off, and I was just talking about the subjects that we cover.
Well, sometimes it's difficult to read where you're going.
No. I'm pretty predictable.
Are you?
Yeah.
Sure.
I've never gone off track and thrown you for a loop.
Liar. We do have a serious movie this week.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely fantastic performances.
Oh, it's wonderful.
I mean, if there were the perfect Lincoln log house, all the perfect Lincoln logs are in this movie, and they created this perfect house. It's just really good. Really good. And I just want to say, listeners, before we get into this, having listened to and edited the episode prior to this cold open, be warned, my voice is terrible.
Why is that?
Because after being in this room for a period of time.
Oh yeah, the hot and dry room.
It is so hot and dry in here. It is unreal. And that's after all day being in here doing stuff. And, it's winter. It's dry and this and that. And this is not a room you can put a humidifier in.
No, it gets soggy real quick in here.
Well, that and the last thing I want is something spewing moisture into the air with,
all of our electronics.
Yeah, easily 5 figures worth of stuff. And insurance companies aren't too kind, so you basically just gave it a shower. I did. Can I have a new one, please?
Essentially, yes.
You may not.
Oh, bummer.
So it does sound rough. It's and it's for the next few months, it's going to be that way. What do you do?
I'll miss you.
You'll miss me. Well,
you
see, I'm here drinking like I just came out of the, Kalahari.
You'll be like Cassandra on Doctor Who.
Oh,
moisturize me.
Moisturize me.
Moisturize me.
I would have never thought at any point in my life would I be compared to Cassandra from Doctor Who. Oh my God.
You're welcome.
Well, so should we after this ridiculousness, should we get into this really serious movie?
This was a very serious opening. Yeah. I'll have you know.
Sure.
Moisturize me.
Okay, I think we're starting to slip away. How about we get moving?
Yeah, okay. Hey there, B-Siders. Welcome to another episode of Bravo for the B-Side. This is Danny.
And this is Jim.
And this week, we've got a very serious film.
It is.
Yeah.
It's been a while since we've had something this serious.
I know. I usually do something goofy, but it feels inappropriate.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Perhaps.
Yeah. No, we're not going to be like morose through the whole thing. No. But it is a serious one.
It is serious.
And that's fine because we need to, do all kinds of movies.
Well, I liked it because it made me think very introspectively, like a lot. It took me a while to kind of digest this film.
Yeah. Well, movies like this, that's the goal.
Yeah.
And not all of them achieve that goal.
That's true.
But this one did. But before we get into this one, we have some things that have gone on this last week.
Mm-hmm.
Not the least of which Christmas
Well, yeah, for us.
Yeah, 2 days ago. Should be 1 day ago, but we took the day after Christmas off,
Yes.
and we just did nothing the whole day. And that included recording the podcast. So we bumped it to the Monday night, which is what it is now. But
Yeah.
still.
That's not fair. We did laundry.
Oh, well, that's true. But beyond that.
Doesn't feel like it counts as a thing, though.
Nah, we took it easy.
Yeah.
Good Christmas. Hope everyone had, a great Christmas. And
Yeah.
by the time this comes out, a great New Year.
Right.
Because, we're in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our New Year's week episode dropped just before we started recording this.
Yes.
And I'm actually, I occasionally listen to our own podcasts. I don't feel like I need to often because, I do them. But
okay.
I really like our New Year's retrospective ones. I think that it's a nice change up and it's a good way to end the year.
Mm-hmm. I listen to them because, I sound check them.
Sure.
Once they've been published, I want to make sure nothing weird has happened, has happened a couple times.
That's true.
Everything is good. The master's good. The bounce is good. I put it up and on a platform, it's like, what the fuck? So I got to go figure out where's the issue.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. But good holiday.
Yeah.
The girl got some stuff.
Yeah, the kid had a pretty good haul this year.
She always has a good haul.
I know. She's spoiled.
But it's funny because we got her a Nintendo Switch. And man, did we play up on how hard it was to get video games. So she was convinced this was not the year for a Switch. But we did get one, pirated it away. And so she was very pleased with that. And has had her face in it pretty much the whole time.
Oh, yeah, almost constantly.
But, you get it. New stuff.
It's a brand new console. I mean, you gotta
basically
be up in it.
Got her hooked up with her TV. She is golden.
Yeah. Well, she's doing that right now as we're recording.
Yep. Keeps her busy. Keeps her out of trouble.
Yeah.
Let's see. Not a lot going on in the world of entertainment that we are aware of because, we've been just kind of doing our thing.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Quiet. The holidays tend to be somewhat quiet.
They do.
Celebrity news wise.
Well, hopefully they're off just like doing family things and staying out of trouble, not making headlines. I get it. Okay, so 2022, we have decided we're going to try and focus as much as we can on women in independent film and B movies.
Yes.
Right. It's going to be rough. So I'm going to start out by saying, folks, listeners, B-siders, if you know a director, producer, actor who is prominent, writer, who is prominent in indie film and B movies, and happens to be a woman, by all means, drop us a note. Because let me tell you, we've been looking.
Well,
and I type in women directors in indie film. And out of 15 things, at least 8 of them are the top 20 directors in independent film and their lists of 20 men. Right?
Well, yeah. And I look also, and I get a lot of articles on how in recent years, the ratio of male to female directors, etc., in indie film has gone up on the side of women, which is awesome.
Right.
But when you go to look on streaming services for films that were written, directed, produced, etc., by women, it's a tough gig.
Well, it is. And I mean, yes, there are women who are at the forefront right now, but they're in the A series, right? They're making the A movies. Not interested in them. Not interested in them because we don't do A movies.
Right.
Right. Or A series stuff. We want we want to highlight the women who are still struggling like everybody else to get money for their projects, doing their projects, not waiting for studios to come by and help them out and just really cranking it out. Because there are a lot out there, but holy shit, if you just try to get a reference point.
Oh, I know.
Right. So, yeah, B-siders, if you know someone, throw us a name. We'll dive into it. Again, only caveat being we need to be able to see what they've done.
Yes.
Yeah. And well, if you are one of these people, by all means,
send us an
talk
email
to us.
Yeah, you can contact us on social. We've got emails on our website. You can find easily how to contact us.
But this, I think, pinpoints exactly what we're trying to do. There are women out there knocking it out of the park, right? Fighting just as hard for their film as any other man. But where are they? Where are their names? Where are their, reference points? Where are their pointers? How do we get to them without like going through every fucking movie on Tubi and seeing if it was directed by a man or a woman? And then is it an indie film or is it a regular film? Right. So hopefully as the year slogs on, we will be able to do this, bring some attention.
Yes.
And maybe a listener who's thrifty can start to compile a list. Right?
Yeah.
Maybe someone works for a blog that does all these things. Be like, hey, take this to your editor. I'm pretty sure they'll be like, well, fuck, since no one has one, why don't we do it?
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Let's talk about this movie.
All right. So this week's movie is I'm Not Here. It was out in 2017. Directed by Michelle Schumacher, written by Troy Cummings and Michelle Schumacher, starring JK Simmons, Sebastian Stan, Maiko Monroe, rated MA.
Right.
And the plot is pretty simple. A man struggles with the tragic memories of his past to make sense of his present, but soon realizes that time isn't the enemy he thinks it is.
I will say this is a confusing logline.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, to tell.
Well, it's very vague. You know what I mean?
I like this better than the one that was on, did we see this on Tubi?
Yeah.
Than the one that was on Tubi.
Do you remember what it was on Tubi?
It was like a man struggles with the tragic memories of his past and regrets his decisions in life or something. And then the last part was, and realizes his father had a hard time also.
Yeah, I think I remember that.
That one was not cool.
Right.
That didn't fit. This, I think, fits more.
That's fair.
I don't know. I think it fits. I don't think it's terribly confusing. Maybe a little cryptic.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of what I was thinking.
But that's why you got to watch it to solve the puzzle. Before we dive in, little note, because I didn't know this and you didn't know this.
Right.
Maybe our listeners don't know this. And if you do, bonus points to you.
Brownie points.
Yeah. Michelle Schumacher is the wife of JK Simmons.
Yes.
So, which I, thought was really cool. And, oh, man, seeing this film, I just think that it's so cool that, she is directing her husband and got him to, I mean, we both agree.
Didn't give him a single line.
Nope, there's not a single line. But we both agree this is JK Simmons' best performance ever.
Yes.
Oh, man. And we'll be talking more
fantastic.
about that at the end when we're done.
Yeah.
But yeah, so husband and wife team, and it's an indie. And as we all know, JK Simmons is not afraid to jump into an indie film.
Oh, absolutely not.
Right. And he has just, fucking kicked ass with everything he's ever done. And he's had a lot of practice. I mean, when we get to the point today, but, thinking back to like, Oz, right? Just, he was such a creeper. That character was.
Oh, yeah. He can be super creepy.
I know. But to have gone from that and then the wide variety of stuff that he's done.
Yeah, he can. I mean, he's got a very big range.
He does. And well, he's lucky, I think, because his choice of doing all these indie films over the studio films
Mm-hmm.
has allowed him to expand and not get typecast.
I think that's true.
Because we know a lot of people who have played characters like that in Oz and they never get called for anything else.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, we need some guy who, handles prison bitches. Again. Is he funny? No. Is he like intense? No, he's just creepy as shit. God damn it. All right, fine. So, why don't you bring us into this movie?
So the first kind of scene that we get is JK Simmons crying, and he's kind of looking at something that we can't see. He seems just extremely upset. He raises a gun to his temple, and we're like, oh boy.
That's a start.
Yeah. And then over the intro credits, we kind of hear faintly a birthday song being sung. And then there's kind of like a series of different shots of stuff kind of crossed with JK Simmons tossing and turning in bed. His room is a disaster. He does not look well. He looks like physically sick, like there's something actually wrong with him.
Right.
There's
one shot of him in the bed, and I wrote he looks emaciated.
Yeah.
But, when he's up standing, he doesn't look as bad. But laying down, oh my God, his rib cage was like two people stacked on top of him on there, and his stomach just,
yeah.
It was crazy.
And he sort of like teeters off the bed and over to the bathroom, and the phone rings. Voicemail picks it up, and his voicemail, this is where kind of we get the title of the movie, because the voicemail is just him saying, I'm not here.
Right.
That's it. And it is the power and water company threatening disconnection that day. So we learn his name. This character's name is Stephen. We get a flashback to when Stephen was much younger. There is a girl with him, and then we're in another era. And I mean, we get a lot. It's tough to kind of like explain and take notes on this because we jump around in about 3 different times throughout this film.
Right.
Kind of going over the course of his life up till now.
Well, this, I called him young Stephen.
So I have JK Stephen.
Okay.
Young Stephen, and boy Stephen.
Oh, I call the 6-year-old young Stephen, and the adult but younger version younger Stephen.
Okay.
See what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, but young and younger, it can be kind of confusing. I'm going to stick with boy.
All right. Or we could just call him 6-year-old Stephen.
Either way.
Okay, we'll go with boy. I saw that look.
You can't see anything. This is an auditory podcast.
I'm here in the room with you. See, unlike the movie, I am here.
I'm just in your brain. I'm in your ears.
Well, that would explain a lot.
I know.
Talk about the movie. Talk about the movie.
So, anyway, then we're in another era. It's boy Stephen. And then we're back with older Stephen, JK Stephen.
Well, there's one thing that happens there that is super important.
Okay.
It's a short scene, but we hear the woman telling boy Stephen not to waste his life like she did. So don't waste your life like I did. You only get one shot.
Yeah.
And that was it. Just kind of like out of nowhere.
We learned that current Stephen, JK Stephen, is an alcoholic. And then we have another flashback, and it's boy Stephen. It's around Christmas time. We know this because there's a tree.
Yes.
And he's kind of picking at noodles on the table. Mom is in the kitchen, and Dad comes in very jovial until the parents start fighting. It doesn't take very long, and they're bickering with each other. And it's not a light fight. Like, it's pretty intense.
Yeah.
Right. They're not throwing punches or anything, but they're verbally like going at it. And then a really interesting thing happens. Boy Steven spills the salt on the table, and both the parents get together immediately, fight forgotten completely.
Right.
To teach him how to throw salt over his shoulder to ward off the devil, because spilling salt is bad luck, right? And it's actually this very cute scene, and you see the change in Boy Steven when they stop fighting. They both come together over him.
Right.
Right. So we're back to JK Simmon coughing into a bucket while watching infomercials.
Yeah. That's unsettling.
It's, yeah.
Some sort of sputum thing, and we're not really sure what the story is.
Well, he's got this like persistent, wet, sickly sounding cough.
Yeah.
And then he has to find new batteries for his remote. So he's going through a bunch of stuff, and he's got like a little junk basket, basically. It's on top of the microwave or something, and it's got just a bunch of trinkets and shit in it. And some trinkets in there kind of trigger brief flashes. He ends up taking the batteries out of his clock to put them in his remote. And another phone call, I'm not here. And we get a voicemail from Mom letting him know that someone named Karen has passed away. She says that Karen never remarried, and she wishes him a happy 60th birthday. And he listens to the message kind of like over and over again.
Yeah.
Multiple times.
Kind of stone-faced.
Yeah.
As he's doing it.
But this breaks his kind of facade that he's got going on. I don't know who, it's not like he's got a facade on for somebody. It was just kind of like he was numb. And this is kind of like broken something.
Well, yeah, as he keeps listening to it, I don't think, it's not a facade. I think it's just him. He's just literally, he's not here.
Right.
Right? He's not engaging with anything. I mean, we're going to shut your shit off. He couldn't have looked any more emotionless if he had, 5 extra people helping. Yeah. But then this, as it kept going, and he'd do it again, then all of a sudden, he's like coming to life inside and having emotion.
And I do want to, we mentioned this briefly earlier, but JK Simmons playing, older Steven, he has not said a single word.
I have that in my notes too. So far, he hasn't said a single word.
All of his performance is just,
It's physical.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's physical emanation of whatever is going on in this character.
It's physical and like emotional, visible emotional. And it's very good. So then we have young Steve, 20s, and his friend Adam are on a stage in a little club, and they're doing a little like bit up there.
It's a college bit.
Yeah.
Because they're making jokes about the professors, and, like Adam was like, I owe so much to Professor so-and-so. He helped me do this and this. He also helped me grow the best weed on campus. And of course, everybody's laughing.
Right.
And
young Steve gets distracted by a girl who walks in. As she walks in late, then she sits down, and he is thrown a bit, but carries on, and he sees her getting up to leave, and he immediately leaves the stage.
Yep.
I gotta go.
Yep.
And goes after her to introduce himself. This is Karen. And things move pretty quickly with Steve and Karen. Mm-hmm. They're basically immediately in an apartment getting busy.
Yep. Then after there's a cut scene of them just cuddling in bed. And then we cut back to JK Simmon, old Steven, still listening to the message about Karen's death. So he heads to a room that is full of boxes and stacks of these things, right? He's like ripping through stuff and everything. And then we see he's looking for booze because he keeps finding empty bottles. Mm-hmm. And I had to note, because he's going through this and, through the house and stuff. I'm like, man, there are a lot of empty bottles.
They're everywhere.
way more than I would have even guessed for a character who is an alcoholic. It's like, wow,
Well,
this is.
this is like decades of a problem, right?
I don't think this bottle accumulation is I mean, he's had a problem for decades, but I don't think he's like not ever thrown them out. I think this is because when he does get his hands on something, he's downing shit left and right through this whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I was just like, this is staggering. God, no wonder everything looks like hell, and including him.
Yeah.
He ends up finding a full one. He ends up cutting his thumb on a cupboard door. And then we flash back to Kid Steven. Kid Steven is in a courtroom. He's got a cut on his thumb. Not the same kind of cut, but it's like his cuticles and stuff are all messed up.
I thought he had been like biting his thumb.
Well, that's what it kind of looked like.
And
Yeah,
it got to the point where it was bloody.
Yeah, it was bloody red everywhere around the edges and stuff. And it just looked like he'd been picking and biting. It looked horrible. But that's the connection to the memory. Mom and Dad are in the courtroom and they're on different sides.
Yes.
So it's a divorce. Well, nope. Actually, it's a custody hearing, we find out.
Right.
I didn't get to details, but it is pretty unpleasant. I mean,
yes.
The attorneys start going at it, well, maybe Mr. So-and-so doesn't want, would like us to bring this up. Well, maybe Mrs. So-and-so would like us to bring this up and stuff. They're saying some pretty horrendous shit. And little Steven is sitting there, right?
Yeah.
Behind the rails, directly in front of the judge, got a clear shot. It's so bad, it gets to the point where the judge has to say something.
Yeah.
So he calls a recess. He says, I need to speak to this boy alone. So he takes him to his chambers and he starts to ask Steven some questions, telling him to answer simply by placing a jelly bean on a scale. One side is mom, one side is dad.
Right.
Right. There's some basic questions. Ultimately, neither side does any real tipping.
Right.
And the judge, finally just asks him, what do you want? And of course, Kid Steven answers he wants his family back.
Yeah.
Well, then we cut to JK Simmons. He goes back to the room with boxes, booze in hand.
I do want to note.
Oh, yeah.
This is the first scene that I had noticed. It might have been in earlier. This is the first scene where I noticed that JK Simmons still wears a wedding ring.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's prominently displayed in these next scenes.
Yeah. I didn't think to write it down. I just made a connection. I was busy doing other stuff.
That's okay.
So he goes back to that room. He's up, he's messing around, and then the light goes out. And in the darkness, we hear young Steven and Karen. We cut, and they're in an elevator that keeps stopping and going dark. And then it'll come on, they'll hit a button, it'll go, and it'll stop, and the lights will go out. Looks like they're dressed to get married.
They've just been married.
Or just been married, yeah. The door opens, finally. And this was the first of a couple of these that I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
The door opens, young Steven looks down the hallway and sees JK Simmons changing a light bulb. He's on a ladder changing a bulb in the hallway. They stare at one another, right? Then the doors close to the elevator. And then we're back with JK Simmons, and he's just like, that same kind of.
Yeah.
He gets down from the small ladder, takes a deep drink. Young Steven so then we cut to a scene with young Steven. He's with a guy pissing in a bird bath. They're drinking, guy's pissing in a bird bath. He goes up, scares him, and ends up pissing with him in a bird bath, which I just, ew.
Yeah.
Right. Because they've been drinking. And then we cut to him basically getting a blowjob from Karen. But he is not at all into it.
No.
And finally, she just like comes out, lays down, and there is clearly some tension here. Like this
Yes.
has been an ongoing thing. Then we cut to him laying in a cell, and then Karen is there to bail him out. We get another shot of him coming home drunk. Karen comes out, very pregnant, holding a paper. She's yelling at him because she found out he was fired 3 weeks prior. Hasn't said anything. She says, stop drinking, or she's leaving him. And then we get back to JK Simmon. And then we cut right back to Kid Steven, who's with his dad racing electric cars. You know, folks, the older listeners will know these. It's just the little slot cars.
Little mag tracks.
Yeah. And the cars just whip around him. You got your little hand thing to go faster, slower. And, you know, little Steven's having a blast. He wins. His dad gives him a plastic watch. This is a watch that was pulled out from that basket earlier. Yeah. As he's going through stuff in that basket, one of the first things he pulls out was that plastic watch. Mm-hmm. So he still has this from when he was 6.
Yeah.
Right. And then Kid Steven's dad tells Steven to put some TV dinners in the oven, and then the phone rings. And we hear him talking to his ex about Steven, about dad got fired again, right? The usual stuff. And it was funny, but it was unsettling. So Kid Steven is in the kitchen, literally pouring 3 fingers of vodka.
Because Dad told him to get 3 fingers.
Right. And he's very carefully measuring it. He's got his 3 fingers up there. He's measuring. And then he takes just downs, and chokes on it.
Yeah.
Because it is terrible. And then the little dude goes in again.
Well,
after that, and then he takes the rest of it to Dad.
Well, I saw it when he was measuring very carefully. He overpoured a little bit. Okay. So he was drinking the extra to make sure that it was the 3 fingers.
I think it was on purpose because he didn't look like he was puzzled on what to do. It looked like someone had a 6-year-old playing a skit bit of like an old 40s, you know, dad from like the 30s coming home, pouring. He was so dispassionate about everything. But, you know, it just killed me after the second time, right back into it. So anyway, he takes the rest to Dad.
And Dad's upset when Steve comes back in. And there's this really kind of sweet moment between them where Steven, you know, boy Steven pulls out his report card and he's got all A's and B's. And there's like a nice note. And then there's a little bit of a note at the end about how he has trouble in social situations and that he's kind of an odd kid.
I want to talk about that for a second.
Okay.
So that is how report cards used to be.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing, right? The teachers, no one would ever share your report card with you.
Right.
You know, unless you like did what I did, just pull it out of the fucking envelope and look at it, you'd have no clue. So teachers would put all this nasty shit on report cards. And then if a parent did share it, like we have going here, and I always thought that was like the most cowardly bullshit way of doing things, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, and this is like the late 60s, early 70s when he's 6 or 60s, mid 60s, somewhere in there. But yeah, some of the stuff that basically calling him a weirdo certainly doesn't help him in his, you know, his inability to do and his awkward behavior with this and that. I thought, Jesus Christ, that's terrible. Nowadays, they hardly put fucking anything in a report card that's useful. You know what I mean? They've gone the whole different direction.
I mean, we have like hour-long parent-teacher conferences that, oh my God.
I know. That really, Because everybody's a winner.
We've had the same conversation with teachers like a million times, and then nothing happens. But it's fine.
Anyway. I just wanted to point that out, that was, it's not an affectation for the movie or an invention for the movie. That is how they did shit. And speaking as someone who had similar report cards and, pulled them out of the envelope and read them, some of these teachers were just downright fucking prickish. I mean, just, douchebag fucking assholes. I had some pretty harsh shit said about me because I basically just kept to myself.
Yeah.
Anyway, I guess I showed them.
I guess.
But anyway, I wanted to illustrate how bad those comments were at the end. Like the last two sentences were just boom, because it makes what happens next just way more cool.
Yeah. So Dad tears off the bottom comments and throws them away. Just rips them up and is like, fuck them.
Yeah. He's like, yeah, keep the good stuff. And he crumples it up, throws it, and says, fuck that other stuff.
Yeah.
And the little 6-year-old Steven's like, hey.
Yeah. But he successfully cheered up his dad with his good report card.
Yeah.
So then we're back with JK Steve, who is opening up some boxes in that room, and there are a kid's belongings inside. Artwork, a baby blanket.
An old race car.
Yeah.
Plastic
yeah.
race car. Not the floor racing ones, but like a slightly, just one you zoom around on the carpet.
Yeah. And then he is back as young Steven, spending time with his young son. And they've made a paper mache snake together. And they're having fun. Karen comes in and he stands up and spins with her. It's this very cute family moment.
Mm-hmm.
And then they end up seeing the kid spitting out Steve's drink. Very much a la when Boy Steve was taking a drink of his dad's alcohol. Except this time it's happened in front of both of them.
Well, and this time he wasn't pouring it. And
no.
he's considerably younger than 6.
Yes.
And probably thought it was
3 or 4.
Yeah, probably thought it was just water.
Right.
Yeah.
Another phone call. I'm not here. And it's Adam, Steve's friend, leaving a voice message for JK Steve. And this triggers a memory from, long ago of young Steve coming home to find Karen in bed fucking Adam.
Yep.
Young Steve has brought flowers, but he got fired again.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why he's home early. And then, it's tough to tell kind of how time is flowing here. But we have him, he's sleeping in the kid's bed. And he hears clinking sounds. And Karen is dumping all of his bottles, I'm guessing. And then, yep. That's what she's doing.
Yeah.
He's hidden them everywhere in the house.
Mm-hmm.
And she's frustrated that she's had to go on this scavenger hunt to find them all. She mentions the toilet, The
toilet, Stephen? Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just.
So she announces that she's taking Trevor, the boy, and going to her dad's. And then we're with Boy Steve, and he's making his own breakfast. Just some cereal and milk. There's some nice tunes playing.
The Monkees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to mention earlier the music in this film. Really good.
Oh, it's one of those things where if you could have a perfect score, your music for your movie, that list for this movie was perfect.
Yeah.
Oh man, it hits and it fits.
Yeah. So, Mom comes in and she's very defeated looking. She takes some pills out of the cupboard, says she's got a headache. She's going to go lay down and leaves. And while Steve is piling sugar on his cereal, she walks out and he noses into this manila envelope that Mom had dropped off on the table when she came in. And he's very snaky about it. Like he knows he's not supposed to be in this envelope.
Mm-hmm.
So he carefully removes her keys from on top, trying to not to make any noise, you know. And he's looking at the contents of this envelope, and we can't see it, but it looks like photos. And they are confusing and alarming to Stephen,
Mm-hmm.
boy Stephen. And then we see their photos of dad with another man.
Right.
And we kind of get this as we see young, boy Stephen running down the street.
Right.
Seems like dad doesn't live all that far away from mom.
No. I mean, that's, kind of how it was.
Right.
Kind of back then. But before we go further, this has been touched on. This was touched on in the court thing.
Yeah.
This was touched on in their arguments before the court scene that,
yeah, it wasn't a shocker to us, the audience.
Right. But, again, 60s, this is, being a bisexual or homosexual man, or woman, it, not the thing to be in that time period.
Right.
Right. And that's what kind of shut things up at court.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where the judge stepped in, is when the one attorney's like, well, maybe Mr. So-and-so would like to, explain some of the, relationships.
His nightly activities.
Yeah. And stuff. And that's where it was like, shut up.
Record scratch.
Yep. But here it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Steve is running down the street to dad's, and he gets in the door. We know that he's gone there to talk to dad about what it was he saw. But as soon as he gets in the door, there's cartoons playing on the TV, and he's a 6-year-old boy.
Yeah.
So he sits down to watch the cartoons. Because dad isn't immediately, there.
Right. He's not in sight.
Right.
Yeah.
And as he's watching cartoons, we hear a gunshot in another room. And then we have Mom and Steve, and they're burying a pet mouse in the garden. And Mom gives a little speech kind of about death to Stephen. Boy Stephen.
Well, he asks if the mouse will get lonely.
Right.
And she goes on to this,
Well, he's not there.
Yeah.
Anymore.
It's empty.
Yeah.
And
then we see JK Steve. He's contemplating a gun and coughing again. And then we get young Steve fishing a bottle out of his son's stuffed animal tower.
Well, yeah, it's like a sock.
Hanging mesh
it's
tower.
One of those weird, I called it a toy sock, because it kind of was hanging. I mean, it looks like a big tube sock.
Kind of. It's got levels. Yeah.
Yeah. But
it's a stuffed animal storage device. Yeah. So he's fishing a bottle out of there. And I'm like, yikes. And then we have a moment where both young Steve and JK Steve are looking at themselves in the mirror.
Washing their faces, just kind of.
And they see each other again.
Yeah. The editing for this bit was top.
So good.
I mean, whatever she thought of as she was directing it, the editor, bam, nailed it.
And we've talked about JK Simmons' performance in this film, which is, incredible.
Oh, yeah.
But I also do want to nod Sebastian Stan as young Stephen.
Oh, yeah. I mean, everybody.
Oh, my gosh.
The whole cast has been fantastic.
Yeah.
Through this.
But as they're looking at each other, through time in the mirror, neither one of them likes what they see.
No, they do not, which was really cool.
Yeah.
The coolest thing about that was not just the shock, but also recognition.
And
right?
Contempt.
Yeah. And they both shared it. So I could,
Yeah.
if I were thinking of this, I would logically think that, well, it wouldn't be a surprise to see young Stephen, right?
Right.
Like, bah, what's that? And older Stephen, like, oh, all regretful. they both showed the same level and kind of shock, anger,
Yeah.
disgust, right? And
Yeah.
disappointment and just everything. And folks, this flowed within seconds.
It was beautifully filmed.
Oh man, and acted. Oh my God.
Yeah.
These performers, these two men, I mean, put it out there.
Yeah.
It was phenomenal. Um so
Yeah, I didn't expect to like this movie as much as I ended up liking it.
I was down for a good, drama. I mean, I
Yeah.
like stuff that makes you think, makes you feel, makes you, it doesn't have to be slashers and stuff.
Right.
Again, everyone knows we end up on horror a lot because there's just so much of it in this space.
Yeah.
Right. It's like you can't throw a rock in any direction and not hit a horror film in the land of India. It's just not possible. Yeah, up to this point, it was phenomenal. And I'm not saying that as like a hinge point, folks. It doesn't disappoint at all.
No.
So we cut back to young Stephen. He's talking about his dad shooting himself to Karen. So we're back to that first night at the bar.
Right. That night.
The performance night, right? So yeah, this is when they first met. And then JK Stephen passes out amidst like a sudden whirlwind of flashbacks. Right. He like just twirls and hits the fucking ground hard. And in these, the one thing I spotted that stuck out, it looks like his son was hit by a car or something.
He runs out into the road.
Yeah, it's black and white. It's eerie.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, and he's cutting just like a cross. You just see like from his waist down, just legs. And you there was no sound triggering it on this one. It was just because it was just part of those quick ones. But I thought, oh, that was not meant to be missed.
Yeah, I have so much to talk about later.
Well, let's wrap this up because, I mean, from this point, there's a lot of stuff that goes on, a lot of very nuanced stuff. And I don't think either of us really went on in detail about it because it happens so quickly. And towards the end, there's a lot of cutting back and forth, more than what I'm going to mention. It's just hard to do that. We've talked about where we've not been able to keep up with shows because the editing was so bad. You don't know where you're at. The editing in this is so artful and fantastic and in some places fast, but it's not disorienting and it doesn't leave you lost.
No, I want to say it's so well done. These little shots that we get in fractions of seconds tell us so much.
Exactly. And we don't have time to write it out.
Yeah.
Because again, we don't pause movies to, ruminate over shit. We do it as we go. This one was just going. And part of it was, for me, it was too fast, right? To spend too much time on any one thing. I'd miss the other stuff. And admittedly, by this point, I didn't want to take my attention away from the movie.
Yeah.
I didn't want to think about my notes, right? So yeah, right there at the end, I'm all in. I still took notes, obviously.
Yeah.
But so if you want to jump in with something,
sure,
go right ahead. So they're at the bar. He has the JK Stephen hits the ground, and then we have a young Stephen stopping to see Karen at her dad's. Okay. And then the son runs out to him, and then a flash of him running somewhere else. And this is a longer shot of the previous clip.
As she answers the door, before Trevor comes out, he hands her a sobriety chip.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Because there was a whole scene of him kind of just doing stuff, right? And then yeah, he's been doing his deal. So he comes back with a sobriety chip. So thank you for that.
Sure.
It's important.
Well, yes.
JK Stephen wakes up on the floor. He's got blood on the back of his head because he hit hard. There's a lot of voices from his past. And then we cut to young Stephen with his son and Karen. They're back together.
Yeah.
It's Stephen's birthday. So it doesn't matter what, all Stephens have the same birthday.
Yeah. Well, this is the time when I realized that the house that they are in, young Steve, their family home, is the same place that JK Simmon is in.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah. I did not realize that until just now in the film. And I was like, oh my God.
I get that.
The difference between the two. Right.
Well, yeah, there's a lot more more shared extended shots of things going on.
Right.
Where in this flashback, they're in one room, but in this present, they're in a different room. Mm-hmm. But these last bits were like room for room.
Yeah.
As things were happening. Because I had supposed, but it was hard. Yeah. Because modern Stephen, right? JK Simmons' place is a fucking mess.
It's a disaster.
Oh my God. It's like an army of hobos came in and just had at it.
Yeah.
And left. So they're together. We have a scene with Karen telling young Stephen how proud she is of him.
Yeah.
Right. And then they start talking about having another kid.
Yeah.
He's like, you think we're ready? She's like, yep.
I think so.
She's all in.
Yeah.
She said, we both know what it's like to be an only child. So, okay. Seems like he actually got his shit together. Mm-hmm. And he's holding it together.
Yeah.
And holding a job and all this other stuff. They talk about getting dressed up because they're going to go out. Mm-hmm. So we see young Stephen getting dressed up. And then we cut to JK Simmon, who's looking at his gun. And then the lights go out. And then we see him using a fucking bicycle light.
Yeah.
Because you can see when he turns the light on, you can tell it's on the handlebars of a bicycle. The bicycle's laying on the floor and he's like laying with it. And then we cut to, young Stephen and Karen and their boy, and they're at a restaurant. They're having a birthday dinner and there's cake and everything. So Stephen gets up to find a waitress to get his son a refill. And his son goes with him. They stop by the bar at the restaurant. And this is where I thought, oh no, is this it? Is this where the chapter is going to end? So he orders a drink and then he changes it to a Shirley Temple and a Coke for his kid. He's talking to the bartender. We learned that Stephen is 6 months sober.
Yeah.
And the bartender,
it's 8 years.
8 years. Yeah. And he's like, how do you do it? And he's like, one day at a time. And he just kind of smiles at him as he walks down, to go help someone else at the bar, looks at Stephen and says, plus I want to live.
Yeah.
Right. That was pretty cool. So, oh God. Yeah. As he's at the bar, Trevor is playing a game. He's by the entrance. Mm-hmm. He's doing kind of like a hide and seek and like a catch me thing. And then as we see that, we got Stephen, old JK Simmon with the gun to his head. He is messed up.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, just broken. And then we see JK Simmon pulling the little boy away.
Well, yeah, because Stephen looks around for Trevor and sees him run out of the bar. And then we see him run into the road, and then JK Simmon scoops him up.
Yeah. And then for the first time, we see JK Simmon smiling.
Right.
As he's holding this kid in his arms. Then he looks into the street and becomes deadly serious. If wishes were fishes, right? That's exactly what this whole scene was. We eventually end up with old Stephen JK Stephen putting the gun down, and he looks at us via the mirror straight into the camera and smiles.
Mm-hmm.
And we're out. One of the things about this movie that I want to get into right away is this was a very emotional movie on a lot of levels.
Yeah.
Not just the, get the character going, get everyone connected to him, and then some sort of big heartbreak kind of thing. Every minute of this movie, every second that someone's doing something, you're in there. And, I know some people are going to probably waffle at this quite a bit, but here's my opinion. The reason this worked so well is because we had a woman at the helm. I firmly believe women are much better when it comes to filmmaking at bringing emotion, connecting emotion, getting people to display emotion, even the way things are shot, right? The framing, the angles, everything adds to it. And with as many movies as we've seen, I'm just going to die on that hill. This is the one I'm standing on, and I'm going to go down on if I have to. Women do it better. And I say that, I'm a good writer. I can bring tears to eyes, but it's that same formula that allows that to happen that every writer uses, right?
Right.
The sudden shock, the sudden death in a series, none of this was sudden.
No, we knew right from the beginning, right? The very first shot is, JK Simmon raising a gun to his head.
Yeah. And even like the little up moments, because there's some funny.
Oh yeah, there are some laughs.
I don't know. I think she did a phenomenal job at it. I think if a man was directing this, we wouldn't get quite the same film.
I don't think so.
Quite the same film. Now, the flip side of that is something that we've discussed. And you pointed it out.
I did. So I'll go ahead and say it. Okay. So so you don't have to be the dude saying it, because I am the one who was like, how
That's
come?
fair.
So when we were looking for films, right? Most of the ones, I would say like 90% or more of the ones that we found directed by women tackle subjects like domestic abuse, coming of age, romance, and very like heavy. I just said it, a little while ago, but fucking bummer stories. And I don't typically find myself drawn to those kinds of stories, right?
Well, that's the thing. Those are like the trifecta.
Right.
And here's the thing. Now, I agree wholeheartedly, because we were looking at those lists and we're like, God damn it. And what hit me is I don't feel like every woman creative gravitates to the first thing that hits their fucking mind is, I'm going to talk about a coming of age story.
Right.
Because coming of age is a bitch, or I've got an idea. I don't think that's where they go. I think it's like a market influence thing. If I'm going to, get something out there and be taken seriously, it has to fit here, here, or here. And that is not uncommon for men or women. I
agree with that.
Right. It's that whole thing, what's in right now, right? We've talked about all that. I'm not going to get into it. And I may be wrong, but my presumption, as you were pointing all of these out, and I was like, I don't want to watch that. I don't want to watch that. Because if you've seen one, you've seen them all.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. It's like, how many more Breakfast Club type movies would I be interested in? None. I've seen the Breakfast Club.
Right.
Okay. And we talked about 80s movies. The 80s was all the same fucking movie.
Oh, every
in
John
3 different
Hughes
genres.
movie was the same movie.
Yep. And most of them with the same people.
Well, that's true.
Right. So, and I'm not disparaging. Creativeness is creativeness. They created these things, they did them, that's great. But it just seems odd
Right.
that most females that we found were doing these 3 types of stories. Not horror, not science fiction, not like action,
Right.
right? And I will say, because I believe it's still a male driven industry, even indie film. I mean, just because you're part of
Yes.
the independent film market doesn't make you, it's not like in indie film, we don't do this. Yeah, you do.
Well, okay.
It's everywhere.
Here's a real life example.
Okay.
We had our film group, right?
Right.
We had regular meetings for the film group. I was the only woman on our team,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, we had our actors, but they weren't involved in the like creative pre-production process.
Right. We were all the producers.
Right. We would be talking, and it would be you, and I'm not going to name them, but it would be the 3 guys
Right.
and me.
Yep.
Right. And you're one of the 3 guys. And I would bring up an idea or a suggestion or a thought, and it would be ignored. And then you would recognize that had been ignored, and you would bring it up, and then it would become a topic of conversation.
Yeah.
And this is an actual phenomenon that women in creative and like even business,
Oh, absolutely.
every industry kind of experience.
Yeah.
We call it phoning it in on the penis phone.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's like any woman in any industry has to have a male with her to make sure that her ideas are recognized. She has to have an advocate there.
Yeah. And well, that's one of that's a big reason, but one of the many reasons that group didn't work out.
Well, yeah.
Because, I mean, and it did, because I did get frustrated, and I did get pissy.
Oh, I know.
Which is probably didn't help build the relationships, because I really was a dick at the end, because I got tired of that kind of shit happening.
Yeah.
I got tired of people running Rambo over doing stuff. And like you would say something, and then, as I got better things to do with my life than to fucking be the mouthpiece of somebody who just said the same shit I'm going to say, only you can't fucking be sensible enough to recognize it.
Well, and here's the other thing. I don't consider either of those 2 people, right? Either of those 2 men, I don't consider either of them to be like, anti-feminists or.
No.
I mean, they were nice guys.
This is what locker room behavior is. Well, seriously. So people think that locker room behavior is talking dirty and making crude jokes and talk about women as objects and, fucking and this and that and all this, Donald Trump type shit, right? The locker room really is about the man in a man coming out. Because in a man's locker room, there are no women. So it comes out like in full force, like to a disgusting level. Mm-hmm. But when you come out of that locker room, even though they're not misogynist, they're not sexist, whatever, that part is still there. And it just happens. Right?
Yeah.
Because if I got even a whiff that they were doing it like intentionally,
right,
there would have been some major problems in that room. But it's exactly it. I mean, you nailed it. That's a perfect example, because I can remember every single meeting, bring something up, and then I would have to do it, and then they'd be like, "Oh, let's go on that."
Yeah, it was incredibly frustrating.
I get it, but there it is. That is why, because a man should not be involved in writing or directing a coming of age story about a 13-year-old girl.
Right.
You shouldn't. We talk about equality, but I've said this before. There are certain things in the domain of men. There are certain things in the domain of women. Neither should be in either of those. There are just things, like that one. You're like, this is clearly a male written script.
Oh, nuts. We just talked about it a couple weeks ago. The one with Adam Scott.
Yeah. You think we would know the name?
You would think we would know the name.
That's on our list. But anyway, yes. That was terrible. And we had the locker room discussion because you're like, do men actually
Yeah.
talk like that? I'm like, yeah.
Gross.
Yeah. Which is, what makes it hard for, guys like me, way younger, the nerd, and then you get called a girl and, this and that. And some names I'm not going to repeat because they just don't need to be repeated. But, a lot of derogatory stuff simply because don't act like a brutish dick.
Right.
Right. But that's where, most of us end up in the nerd pool. In the deep end of the nerd pool with the rest of the nerds. Yeah. Anyway, this did well. I mean, yes, there was a man involved in writing it, but I feel like, and I don't know, but I'm going to go on record as saying I think Michelle, being a co-writer of this, brought out the reality of these emotional connections, and goddamn, she nailed it with the visuals.
Oh my gosh.
And this is, again, before you take over, a huge hat tip to every actor in this, from Boy Steven to JK Steven, Sebastian Stan,
Micah Monroe.
Yeah. And just all the peripheral people. It was real. No performance seemed to be just some perfunctory space filling, burn up some film kind of thing. It all just anchored.
What it makes me think of Be Natural.
Yes, exactly.
What a mantra. I'm going to keep that mantra forever and ever.
I know.
I want to talk about Michelle Schumacher and her directing of this, because what we saw in this film, it was very much show don't tell, right?
Right.
We get the only kind of exposition that we get are kind of like through these voicemails, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which are also, kind of triggering for the memories where we're doing the showing, not telling.
Right.
Right. And it's especially true in the role that JK Simmons plays as older Steven, where he doesn't talk at all. I think that's absolutely crucial to this film. Right.
Well, yeah.
And I'm trying to wrap my head around kind of like visualizing, looking at this script and visualizing how to tell this story on film. And like the mind just boggles, because the way in which she told it was just the most poignant moments in this were sometimes just those like 1 second shot,
Yeah.
And kind of like the brain of knowing I need a shot of this, right? I need a shot of this. I need a shot of this. And we're going to stitch these together, have a fabulous editor.
Yeah.
Who's going to put them together. You have to know everything that you need as a director.
Oh, absolutely. To make even the best editor can't make things happen that didn't happen.
Right.
By that, I mean, so them seeing each other, past and present. If the angles weren't, if she didn't shoot it the way she did, right? Each one of them in their respective, scenes in that, an editor would not have been able to make that magic.
Yeah.
Right. She had to have it set up, and the editor is the one who puts it together in such a way that there's where it cuts, what you see, right? How much of what, backwards, forwards in the frame, this, an extra frame, or go back a frame and cut, go ahead because all of that makes a difference. It's crucial. Editing, we've talked about, is so important.
Yeah.
But like the best chefs in the world, you have to have some top-notch ingredients to work with.
Yeah.
Right? You have to have everything that you're supposed to have. And I agree, it's like she brought it.
Yeah.
Here is your spread of top-line spices. Cook for me. And he or she, because I don't know who the editor was, they did.
Yeah. And there are, I mean, I love the little series of moments where they have repeatedly through the movie where it is just the drink umbrella floating in the wind.
Yes.
This other little thing, this
Hmm.
other little thing, this other little thing, because that is, I mean, that is indicative of someone who really knows like how memories actually work. When when I'm remembering things from my past,
Hmm.
right? I don't remember it as a full-blown scene of what happened. It's these little bits and these little pieces and these little like moments, these little mind photographs,
Yeah.
right? Little gifs of the brain. And I think that was very much key to making us feel and understand how this film is flowing and the tone of it.
Yeah. Um, the DP needs to be recognized, because
Yes.
especially with JK Stephen,
Mhm.
uh, the lighting, it's dark, it's moody, it's broody. But I tell you what, not one thing got lost
No.
that was important. That is a tough thing to do. Shooting dark, gloomy scenes, anyone from amateur to professional will say that's hard. Getting the lighting right for that is not an easy thing. And back in the old days, not only was it hard getting it set up, but you needed a DP who was like a fucking legend in this area. And I go back to when they did Tron Legacy. You know, even the director was like, I don't know about this, because he let the DP set it all up. Right? He walks into the set and he's like, this looks fucking. This isn't going to look good. And the guy just said, wait till you see it on the film. Meaning, because they shot it in film.
Right.
He knew, based on the type of film that they were shooting on, what this was all going to look like. And the director was like, and you know what? God damn it, he was right. I I saw that first bit of developed film and I thought, son of a bitch. And it looks nothing like what the set looked like. But understanding how light transfers to the medium is as important as getting the light itself set up. And it was so artful.
Yeah. Can I build on that?
Build on it, please.
We have three separate casts. We have three different movies in this film.
We do.
And each one of them has its own look and tone and feel,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yes. Not just little Steven in the 60s,
Right.
based on the clothing and the music and the weird furniture stuff, right? The look of the look, just felt 60s.
Right.
It just felt 80s when he
But
was,
yeah,
college Steven.
but it all also flowed together,
Yes.
you
It
know.
it yeah, it blended, it flowed. It wasn't jarring. It was
Right.
just instantly familiar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Um, this thing really is a visual feast.
Oh gosh.
Uh, the artistry from the cinematic aspect is fantastic, and then you throw in the story, which is magnificent.
Yeah, I do want to talk about the story
We're
in
going
a
to
little
come to
bit.
that, yeah, because yeah, and the performances, which I gotta say, this says something about these two creative powerhouses, Michelle Schumacher and JK Simmons. Everybody will say, this is the thing, don't go into business with family,
Right.
right? Now, I know we could do this. I mean, you're the CEO
Well,
of
yeah.
our little company.
Yeah.
And if you were directing and I were an actor, I'd have no problem doing, I mean, you're the director, I'm the actor,
Well,
right?
yeah. And
That
I would have no
separation
problem
thing.
telling you, okay, look, I see where you're going, but we need to be going this other way.
Yep.
Right.
Or, yep. You did this. I need you here. I need you to do it this way. Go. And then give me notes and stuff, because we give each other notes on our writing,
Oh, all the time.
right? And it's not always cheerful.
We give each other notes on our DMing.
We do. So many things. But to have that kind of relationship where you can be a director and an actor and leave the rest out is amazing. But I'll also say, I don't think there's a husband and wife team or a married, couple on the planet who fully get rid of that. Right?
Sure.
If it were so easily disposable, then I don't think that would last,
Yeah.
But that's where it seems there's something in there that makes it work for them, and to write a movie, put your husband in the main role, and he doesn't say a fucking word throughout the whole thing. That is just astounding.
Yeah.
Yeah. These two people worked together in such a way that this thing just is magnificent. And then everyone else was at that same level. So yeah. I just want to say that bit, but now I know you've got a lot of stuff under the hood you're waiting to bust out.
Sure. I mean, I will add to that. I think that, part of the reason there are husband and wife teams like Michelle and JK, and like others, I'm not going to name a bunch of them, but part of the reason that dynamic can work is because if you have a good marriage and a good relationship with the person, you have a shared language, you are on the same page, you understand each other, you have all of these like inherent bonuses to your communication.
Well, yeah, you have a shared vocabulary.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's an understanding, everyone has, we have,
and it makes phrases. The efficacy of your work that much bam, bam, bam.
Yeah. Because rather than get all technical with you on something, I can say, do that, and you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And vice versa, right? Every couple has that. They have as human beings, we create our own languages with the people closest to us.
Right.
And I think, that absolutely, they have not just a shared vocabulary, but a shared aesthetic.
Right.
Because they're both creatives. Right.
Well, yeah.
So they have lived in that world long enough where it's not like I'm an actor and I've just been hired and I don't know any of these fucking people. I've never seen any of their work. That's where it gets hard, and that's where they say that's what makes a good director can bring you on board and will bring you on board. A bad director will just ridicule you and put out a shit movie and you'll never work with them again. Kind of thing. But anyway. Yeah.
This story. Well, like we mentioned earlier, I wasn't sure that I would be super into it. Because we watched the trailer and I was like, seems kind of like a bummer, but also seems well done. So we'll see. And it took, after the film ended, we usually like, well, what did you think? And we bring up some stuff and we have our discussions. If it's a good film, if it's not a good film, then we're like, sometimes we'll have discussions, but
we'll just get right into it. Rip it apart.
But sometimes for films, we're like, oh, it's good. And we don't really have much more to say, right? But you asked me what I thought, and I was like, I have to process this. I need some time with this just alone in my head. Because I wasn't sure how I felt about the ending of this film.
Right.
Because at first I was like, well, hold on. This isn't right. What? But the more I thought about it and the more I kind of just sat on this and stewed on it. And it took me a good long while. It was like an hour or so at least.
Yeah. It was a late night.
Before I was like, I really like it. So we start out this story with this kind of feeling of inevitability, right? We know from the get-go this is not a happy story that we're going to learn about this character.
Right.
you know. And the more we learn about him, and you don't even necessarily like him, as a person,
Right.
because he's an alcoholic. He's clearly got a lot of, he's messed up.
Oh, there's a plethora of issues that we don't even deal with in the film.
Right.
You can see they're there in the periphery.
Yeah.
But they're not the story.
Right. And then the more you learn about him and how he fucks up and he can't keep a job. And I mean, you do feel bad for little boy Steve, who's gone through a lot. He has not been set up for success in the traditional way. So that kind of feeling of inevitability that you get at the beginning of this movie just becomes more cemented throughout. And it, to me, is absolutely like concreted in the moment where they're looking in the bathroom mirror and old Steve and young Steve see each other and are disgusted by what they see.
Yeah.
Right? That I feel like is actually, for me, is the climax of this film.
I think that would constitute.
I mean, I think,
I
think traditionally it is, the moment where Trevor is running out into the street, but we never actually, we get little flashes of that moment, but we never actually get to that moment until the very end.
Well, I don't think that's the climax. I think that's the reveal.
Sure.
Which is different. So I agree with what you say. I think that bit in the mirror is the climax. Because we didn't go into great detail about stuff, but here's the thing. So to me, kid Steven, he's a kid, 6 years old, right?
Yeah.
But he sees how this is all going down. He doesn't understand it, but we know that his dad is a drunk, can't hold a job. Mom left him. And then mom seemed a little, I don't know that he was as bad as he was being treated.
Right.
Right? Because he wasn't abusive and all this and that.
No.
He
wasn't. He was a good dad.
Bit of a heinous bitch. But that's because he was gay.
Well, and he couldn't hold down a job, and he was an alcoholic, and
well, but here's the thing. So, if I were to take what we saw in this whole movie and throw that into prefacing the dad story, I would say it as, so here's a guy who has a sexual orientation that basically can get you killed or thrown in jail, right? And lose everything for the rest of your life. Dealing with that and the guilt that society threw on people, right? I can see the stress and the pressure and everything. I can see where that would cause you to drink. And I can see that drinking leading to losing jobs, right? He's doing the best that he can, given, because we were talking about, there's that whole setup for failure thing, right? There's, nature versus nurture. And I think nature just hit him in the head with a fucking sledgehammer. And there was nothing there to nurture him any other way. So I think that's what happened to Dad. Now, young Steven sees this. Kid Steven. Young Steven, we know, had a homosexual encounter.
Right.
And right after that was made plain, that pretty much destroyed the physical part of their relationship and everything else that goes with it. I think he was a drinker in the way of like a college.
Right.
I mean, because that's what they were doing, was parties and stuff. But after that bird bath scene, that was it. He was committed. He was an alcoholic, right? Fast forward to this in the mirror scene. This is where, like, that description of, this man realizes his father had it difficult too, right? He was living his father's life.
Right.
Only his father ended up killing himself because he was going to get exposed. He was going to, because the ex-wife had these pictures. He was going to be done. Right. And he knew what he was going to lose. So he killed himself. And unfortunately, kid Stevens, is there for that. And you take that with you, all of that stuff comes up, and you realize you're following in the footsteps of your father.
Yeah.
At some point, that to me is where that mirror scene was like, he looked ahead at JK Stephen and saw his dad,
Right.
which his dad didn't live that long. He was a
Right.
young guy when he killed himself.
Yeah.
But that was the whole thing, looking at your older self as your parent, like, you fucker, right? Because that's kind of what you see. And also the fact that nobody gave a shit about him after his son died, because Karen left, never heard anything about her. When Adam calls, he's like, it's been, decades, man. I just heard about Karen. You want to talk? He most likely pushed everyone away.
Yeah.
But nobody was committed enough to, be in there. Right. So that's that whole thing. I'm not here. He had nothing, was doing nothing. That's what we come in at.
I feel like there's even more to it than that. In this moment where, both versions see each other,
Mm-hmm.
and it is, I hate myself and I am always going to. There's never going to be a version of me that I like.
Yeah.
Which I know is like
well,
super heavy.
No, I get that in that moment. But it's after that moment that we see he did change his life.
Right.
He stopped drinking. He held a job. He was raising his son with his wife. All the things his father didn't do. He won.
Yeah.
I mean, at that point, he won. That's where most movies would end.
Right.
Right? We'd have, out of a 90-minute film, we'd have 75 minutes of all this terrible shit. And then in that last 15 minutes, the first 5 of that 15 would be the last push to prove, right? And then we get 10 minutes of, we get another 5 minutes of redemption. And we see them out at the restaurant having dinner, her being proud of him with, another sobriety chip.
Well, yeah. And I think that
and then
is
5 minutes of credits.
That moment is the driving force to his, his sobriety.
Right.
Right. That moment of seeing himself as he will be and not liking who that is and wanting to change who that is.
Right.
So, I mean, kind of going back to my, this concretes that feeling of inevitability of, we know where this path goes, right? We know where this movie is going.
Right.
And then we get all of that, we get the birthday party, and then we see old Steven scooping up Trevor, right? And then not doing what we fully expect him to do, given everything kind of leading up in this movie. And that was kind of what threw me, right? Because I was like, well, we know what really happened, right? Oh, old Steve didn't time travel and go back and save his son. We're still here.
Right.
We're still in this moment 30 years later.
Right.
Where his son is gone. His wife is gone. Everything is gone. And he's gone.
Right.
And so it took me a while to go, why would he, in that moment, decide to not do this thing? Everything isn't inevitable. You can choose who you are, and it's never too late to change who you are. Right?
Yeah.
And I ended up, because that was why I was like, what, this is really rocking me,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And I felt like kind of the whole point of it is that, you know, things are not inevitable,
Right.
you know.
I get that, but I think I saw it a little differently.
Okay.
So I get the not everything's not inevitable. What I saw was so the mirror of his life with his fathers, right? We saw a point where, and when we cut back to JK Stephen during these sobriety bits,
Hmm.
he was actually kind of like calm a little bit,
Okay.
right? But then as we got further, closer to the moment of his son's death, then he started, as one would expect. So that was his, arguably, I think, the best time of his life. He was free of all of his horse shit. He, clearly went to AA, followed the steps, worked out his shit, and was living a clean, real life. Talking about expanding the family.
Hmm.
And then in a heartbeat, that was all taken away. So when we get to that point where we see him pulling his son as JK, Stephen, pulling his son out of the street, that whole thing. But then when he looked out into the street and you just saw his face drop because his dead son is out there. We don't see it.
Well, right.
Right. But the reality is there. Woulda, coulda, shoulda. We all get into that at some point in our life. If only, if only, if only. And I'm going to pretend that happened. But there's the reality. That to me was saying he was not saving his son from getting hit. He was pulling his son out of this fucking mangled cobweb of his life with all these ups and downs and twists and turns and shit and darkness and all that. And his son represents that moment when things were good and he just shit all over it. Because clearly, a devastating loss like that destroys most couples,
Oh, yeah.
even if they don't have problems.
Yeah.
It destroys most people. Losing a child, I can't fathom it. I'm not going to
No.
pretend to. I don't ever want to know it,
No.
as none of us do. But oh my God, But what I saw was that was the moment that he pulled his son out of this terrible fucking story as the cause, and it became his redemption. Because then we see him putting the gun down, looking in the mirror and smiling at us. And when that happened, the very first words spoken in this movie are, "Don't waste your life like I did. Do something. Life's too short." Right? His mom.
Right.
And what did he do? He started doing something, but as a whole, he fucked his whole life away. Booze, depression, all these bad things happening. To me, when he looked in the mirror and smiled, that was the inevitability thing of when you lose a child, you're broken, right? He has already had so much going wrong with his life and everything that could go negatively after that loss, losing your spouse, your family,
Mm-hmm.
you're just all alone. I don't know. To me, that moment it wasn't so much about inevitability as it's never too late. Just because I've come this far and I've fucked away my life in 60, I got to tell you, that's a rough looking 60. Right? So they said 60. I thought, whoa.
Well, yeah.
That brings
His mom calls. I was like, his mom's still alive?
Yeah, that too. And she gave his age, and I thought, oh man, that fully illustrates how much of a rough road this guy's had. Because JK was made up. He didn't look 60.
Alcohol will do that to
A
you.
lot of things will do that to you.
Yeah.
Holy shit. I don't know. I saw it as, you know what, no matter where you are in your life, if you're 70 and you're looking in the mirror like that and you're like, I wasted my fucking life.
You're still here.
You have the capability Do not waste your life. A wasted life is somebody who never does it differently, continues the drinking and stuff, doesn't do that. There is a moment you can grab and do something, live, make a phone, call Adam back, call your mother.
Sure.
Right. And live the life that you feel like you would have been living had your son still been alive. Be that man, because that's what he was reaching back towards that time, right?
I feel like we both came to the same conclusion about the message of the ending, but from different approaches.
Yeah. We often do that.
That's true.
And so in the beginning, you were not sure if you'd like this movie because it's a bummer. I had a different perspective because, I grew up with Irish fairy tales. There are no fucking happy endings. So a bummer movie to me is just like another ride through bedtime stories. I'm like, I want to see what this ride is about. None of that really turns me off.
Sure.
There are times when we'll look at a movie and I'm like, oh, no, that looks way too heavy. Just means I'm in like a video game playing mood or a riff tracks movie kind of mood. I don't really want to get absorbed into something that deep. Not because I'm worried. I know it's going to end poorly, and that's fine. And so to me, this wasn't like an Irish fairy tale ending. It certainly was steering. It was like Thelma and Louise, man.
Yeah.
Right towards that cliff, but at the last second, hit the brakes, up comes the guardrail, and turned it around. And that's the thing I think I like most about this movie.
Yeah.
5 seconds at the end. 5 seconds at the end summed this whole movie up. It was the turnaround. It was the payoff. 5 fucking seconds. And then not even fade to black. Hard cut.
Yeah.
And credits. Genius.
Yeah.
Putting it together to get to that point where you're just like,
oh, man. This is a tight film. There is no wasted time. Anywhere in here.
Nope. There is nothing that doesn't matter. You're talking about the little umbrella.
Yeah.
Right. That's a key moment because when he goes to the bar to get a drink, refills for him and his son, his Shirley Temple and the Coke, he gives his son a drink umbrella.
Yeah.
And that's what the son carries outside.
Kids love those things.
Oh, fuck yeah. We gave, I don't know how many to Lily.
We still have some in the drawer in the kitchen.
I know. She loved that as a kid. We don't drink, but we'd get the drink umbrellas and we'd make like smoothies and stuff. Pop one of those in there and oh shit, she thought she was high queen of something.
Yeah.
She loved that. Oh,
a little tropical paradise.
Yep.
Tiny paper umbrella.
Where's the umbrella? The tiny little voice. Well, coming up.
Yep.
Yeah, this is super tight. It's super well done. The imagining of it was clearly phenomenal enough to get into script form. I would love to see the script to this.
I would be fascinated to see the script.
Because I'm always fascinated in those moments in movies where it's just heavy action, right? There is no dialogue. I'm just intensely curious how people write that. And if you're a writer,
everyone writes it different.
I know.
If you look at scripts, they're all different.
I know. And this is one I would love to see because I think being able to see that gives us an insight into her mind.
Sure.
A little bit more because we've seen how David writes his. He's the writer director.
Yeah.
Right. We've seen a bunch of other scripts that we've gotten our hands on, and you can see the differences on how people do it. Some are very utilitarian.
Right.
Some are kind of just like, it's my script. I'm the director. Fuck it. I'll write what I want. And you've got 3 pages.
Yeah, some go very like jazz.
Flowing.
Jazz scat style
absolutely.
On it. Like the Orphan Black scripts.
Yeah. Those just like whoosh.
They're like a stream of thought. It's very strange.
It is.
They're good.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Weird.
And I know that's one thing that God, in the beginning, we labored over that. Well, how much of this do we put in? I mean, what do? We have a whole action sequence that's very detailed, and every detail is important to how the rest of the script goes. We can't just say battle scene and leave it up to somebody. We need to give fucking directions. How do you do that? And we reached out, and we got different answers.
Yeah.
So we ultimately decided, you know what? Fuck it. We're going to do this way. We did it. Like, I like it. It stays this way. you know, and it's different from other people.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, to me, creatives, B-siders, you need to see this movie and
Oh gosh, please watch it. It's so good.
take notes. Take notes. Watch it, enjoy it, and then watch it again and take notes. Um, there's so much in here that you can put in your bag of things I want to do.
Gosh, yeah. There were so many moments. It's funny watching this together. There were so many moments where we both kind of folded our arms and sat back.
Yep. I just went for the ride.
Yeah.
Which is why we don't have all the detailed notes. But we don't do that at that level anymore. But, we glazed over a few things because I need to see this.
Yeah.
I need to be here for this. It's worth it. There's so many good lessons in here.
Oh gosh. And the sound, there's a song I have to go and look up at some point because it's, I wrote in my notes that I need to look up this song. The music, so good.
The music is good. Like I said, the cinematography, from a cinematic aspect, everything on this is there. You can't shake a stick at anything.
Yeah, you could put this film in a frame and call it a work of art.
It is absolutely that. And everyone involved in this is an absolute artist.
Yeah. And
we're talking the crew, because you can't come up with something like this unless everybody's on their game. Right. So yeah, Michelle Schumacher nailed it completely with this on every aspect. And I'll go back and say, I think JK Simmons' performance of a lifetime, and I'm just going to go ahead and say it, it's because of his director, his wife. Michelle Schumacher
knew how to get the best performance out of JK Simmons that anyone could ever possibly know.
Absolutely. Yeah. And out of everybody, because no matter how good of an actor you are, if you have a bad director, what you're doing isn't going to show through.
Yeah.
Because they're just like this blanket over everything, right? They don't recognize that moment, right? That angle, that this and that. You have to be able to see it as a director. You have to know what you fucking want, and you have to convey that to your people. And, if you're good, they're going to get it. They're going to give you their best.
Mm-hmm.
And if you give them notes and back and forth, and eventually, bam, you have a scene that's like, motherfucker, this is phenomenal.
So good.
So yeah, it's heavy, but a lot of positive stuff here.
Definitely worth a watch. I mean, if you're not a film creative, I would highly recommend that you watch this movie.
Yeah, I mean, we have listeners who could give two shits about writing or directing. They just like us hear us go through these movies, and they have no problem watching them after.
Right.
It would thank you. I mean, sweet.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
So
this movie just blows my mind.
Yeah, it's so good.
Anyway,
with that,
once you've seen this movie, go to our website,
www.lordsofmisrulproductions.com.
Mm-hmm. Everything is there. You know what to do. You know what you're going to find. Newcomers, it's a website. It's got all the stuff you need. Go to it. You like what's going on? Visit our Patreon page. Yeah. Become a patron.
You can become a patron.
That'd
be cool.
Check out our other stuff.
Merch. Yeah.
Merch.
You don't want to be a patron, or even if you are a patron, or whatever your thing is, we have merch.
Mm-hmm. We do.
You want a water bottle? You want a tote bag? You want a t-shirt?
Those water bottles are sweet.
They are.
Yeah, because we got a couple things, back in the beginning when we set this all up. I love that water bottle. It's noisy as shit when you unscrew it. That's why I don't bring it in here.
Sure.
But it's also, this one's bigger than I use.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, reach out to our social media stuff. You can contact us through email links on the website, social media. It's all there. Check out the people we're following and who are following us because they are fellow creatives. Or if you're not a creative, they're fellow movie buffs. We have everybody. We have
Yeah.
all, all are welcome. Just the only people I don't follow back are the people who follow us and then so they could DM. Because well, on Twitter, I follow back as much as I can. And then I realize someone will DM me, do you need podcast promotions?
Oh, God.
I instantly unfollow because you know what? Don't follow us to send we don't need any fucking promotions. We're fine.
This isn't making people listen though.
Yeah, this podcast makes no money. It's got a small audience. It's a niche interest area. I'm not interested in your 10,000 organic followers. It's just a fucking click farm overseas. That's all it is. Right. And without any promotion, we went from, 0 to we've got like 1,500 ish, a little less, 1,400 followers on Twitter.
Yeah.
Just from fucking doing nothing but tweeting out our episodes.
Right.
And that's how we've met people, how people have found us and found the podcast. And we're good. We're good. Anyway, if you're not one of those people, I'll follow you back.
And if you are or know a female director, writer, producer, executive producer, whatever,
actor, crew member,
or someone who wears all the hats, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
In indie film, that's typically how it goes. But, and you want us to check out their work or check out your work, shoot us a message.
Yeah. Or even better, let them know. Seriously, have them reach out to us.
Yeah.
We're here. I mean, this is what we want to do. And we do want to do as much as we can in 2022. Not just, I would like to have interviews with everybody we can. I don't know if we'll get Michelle Schumacher it's an indie film, but
she's pretty big.
She's a pretty big name. And JK Simmons. I mean, they're busy.
Yeah.
Right. We've talked about the 6 degrees of separation, and they're all agents and managers.
Right.
Literally keeping us separate.
But you know what? Michelle or JK Simmons, if you guys happen to be listening, we'd love to talk to you.
Yeah. Or if someone's listening who knows them, we would love to talk to them. Share it. Let people know that, what we're about and have them reach out to us because we would love to not only talk about their work.
Yeah.
Right. We would like to have them on the show because I think a lot of great discussions can be had this year. It's 52 weeks. We have 52 opportunities to bring things to light, not just movies and names, but there's in there chances to have some really great discussions on, let's not do the patronizing magazine question and answer bullshit. Let's talk about, why is it harder? What's harder? What's easier? Why do you love it? Why are you going to put up with this bullshit? Where do you hope to go? What's the answer? And just, regular conversations that we have.
Who's your penis phone?
Yeah. Do you have a penis phone? And do you how do they feel about it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, bring them on.
Yeah.
Bring them to us.
Welp. I think that about covers it.
Are you getting all Midwestern again?
Oop.
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 Fuck me.
Sorry. I'm just going to squeeze right past you.
Just not enough room in this cheese curd aisle for the both of us.
Oop.
Oh, shit. All right. Before this gets worse, and I drive one of these letter openers through my skull, B-siders.
Until next time.
Thank you for listening. We will be talking to you next week. This is Jim.
And this is Danny.
Stay safe, and we'll talk to you soon.
Oop.